Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I'll be talking about Gales, Ice, and Men. That's the name of the book, and we'll be talking about each of those things. This is by Frank Wead, and it is a biography of a steam barkentine bear. This is not the first time I've talked about the bear on my channel. I read a book by a friend and classmate of mine, Best Cutters of the Best Coast Guard. Brian Runyon wrote that, and he recommended this book a little while back, and I did a review for that, so check it out. A little while ago, I also read a book called Track of the Bear, which was also about bear, not surprisingly, and I did a review of that, so check it out. This book is a little bit older than that. That book was published in 1964, and this book was published in 1938. Ooh, that's old. Printed in Britain. This one, I actually have the dust jacket. I really think it's a cool dust jacket, but it is a little rough. Look, it's ripped there. It's a cool book. It's a really cool book. And I'm not going to do... This is going to be a shorter review because I've already talked about the bear. And this covers a lot of the same stuff as Track of the Bear. So you can check out that video. But this is older, obviously. And where Track of the Bear actually followed the demise of the bear when it sank while it was being towed after its service life had long since ended, and it was going to become a restaurant. This, because it's in 1938, misses some of the later history in World War II. I mean, this was before World War II, so it mentions the World War, which is World War I for all you youngins like me. So there are a couple things I really like about this book. It has maps in the front. One map in the front of the Greeley expedition, one in the back of the Bering Sea and different things, especially the overland expedition, which I think it should be a movie. There should be a movie about the overland expedition. It would be awesome. The other thing I really like in this book is it has pictures, and I love pictures. Like this is a picture that when I saw it, well, there are two pictures here. I'll show you both. The first one, it just reminds me of how grateful people must have been to see the mass of the bear on the horizon in the winter in the Bering Sea and the Arctic Sea, and how extreme those environments were. And the bear was watching over them in some way. Now, they were probably annoyed sometimes too, because they are with the Coast Guard. Or at this point, or throughout bear's existence, it was the Revenue Marine, Revenue Cutter Service, and Coast Guard. So, and before that, it was in the Navy for a very short time for the Greeley expedition, where it rescued people from the Greeley expedition. But this is a picture. This first picture is one that you can see the size difference between it and a whaler. And just imagine seeing that and knowing that for years and years, decades, bear was in the Arctic. It saved countless whalers. And I'm sure the form that the ship took was very clear to people in the area. It was. I mean, it was the presence, the federal presence in Alaska. So this is the first picture I really liked. Well, I mean, I liked all the pictures, but just like that's bear. And then this is a whaler. You just kind of get a feel for, like, this is on the horizon. You're safe. The other picture I liked, one of the other pictures I liked, was of the crew. This has the crew that was involved with the overland expedition. And uniforms are very different. But the eagle on the cover is similar to what we would wear today. And when I see it, and I also see pictures of old Coast Guard Academy cadets, it's nice to think that you're like part of that tradition, even if it was for a short time as a cadet, as an officer in the Coast Guard, and that some of the traditions that you experience you inherited from these guys. And this is a group of famous guys. So I like this book. Now, it covered a lot of the same stuff as Track of the Bear. I'm not going to rehash all that. But I did feel like this book covered it in a more familiar way and was entertaining in kind of a salty way. And that was nice. I mean, I think the Frank Wead was meeting up with a friend who was on Bear as he opened the book. And how many people can say that? None. Because they're all dead. Probably. Well, most likely they're dead. So, he's seen it in person. He's been there. He's not writing about after the fact, after it's saying he's writing about something that still exists and still has a bit of a future ahead of it in 1938. So I liked it. I gave it 5 stars. This was recommended by Brian Runyon. Brian, great recommendation. It's out of print. It's hard to find, and I did, but it doesn't mean it's expensive. It's just hard to find, and I would really love to see new work done on the Bear. I would love to see a movie, especially of the Overland Expedition, because when you really start to think about it, 1,800 miles, 15 to 1,800 miles, covering that by foot, dog sleds, reindeer sleds. I kind of thought, if I'm on a ship and my captain's like, hey, we need people to run a herd of thousands of reindeer to 200 to 250 possibly starving whalers who are stuck in the ice or had their ships crushed by the ice in a remote area 1,000 miles away. We don't have the reindeer for you. You're going to have to go to 3 different locations and negotiate for the reindeer that people have. Then you're going to have to take those reindeer and march them through 1,000 miles, which actually came out to be closer to 15 or 1,800 miles, across sub-zero, and we're talking -40 to -70 degrees. 2 locations you have not been to over land, and you're going to have to do this pretty quickly before people starve. That would be too much for me to do. And they did it. And after they got there, and there were 3 people in the Overland Expedition, Lieutenant Berthoff, Lieutenant Jarvis, who I know a relative of, and Dr. Call. After they got there, and there were other people that helped them too along the way, after they got there, only 1 person died after they were there to render assistance. People had died before. There's a number of concerns. Food is one of them, but also scurvy, which is the lack of vitamin C, and just kind of general order breaking down. A lot of people didn't think they were going to be able to do it. Jarvis and his shipmates did, and it's one of the great stories, I think, within the Coast Guard is well known, but outside the Coast Guard, it's little known, and it's amazing. It should be a movie. It could be a Disney movie. So, I was reading it again and just thinking about, like, wow, what a success story. They got medals for it. They got, I think, gold life-saving medals or some special medal from Congress. But it's just one of those amazing stories that you rarely hear about, and this book discusses it. So, you probably won't find this book, but if you do, read it. And if you think it's an interesting thing, then seek it out, and ye shall find Gales, Ice, and Men, a biography of the steam barkentine bear. Apparently somebody drank coffee while they were reading this, because look at this little ring. Don't do that. Bear. Revenue Marine, look, it's even on my shirt. Huh? Look at that. I'm pretty sure that's bear. Yeah, it's definitely bear. If you look at the side-by-side of the shirt and the cover of the book, it's the same image. I didn't realize that till I was editing. I said this is my last video that was about bear, but I think that's why also the Coast Guard Academy mascot is the bears. Obshi, the bear. I'm not 100% sure, but I know I've heard that somewhere, so I'm going with that. So thanks for being here today. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.